Hey crafty friends, Christina here with you from Close to My Heart. So today we are going to be creating an adorable mini album with a box here. So if you got a kit, you have lots of papers that are pre-cut for you. And so let's just go ahead and jump in. I think this is a great project. Many ideas for it. So as you can see, you open up the box and you pull out and you've got the mini album in here. And the cute thing about this is that it's a little bit interactive because the way we're going to design it has these two little pull tabs here on the side. And when you pull it, it kind of like swishes out kind of in a waterfall effect. But you still have that same effect where you can flip through it like you would with a normal album. So it's just really fun, and throughout I'll give you some ideas of what you guys could do with this. While we are using our freshly baked collection, which is, as you can see, has some specific baking patterns to it, it does have some nice neutrals like these polka dots and stuff. So there's lots of things that you could do with it. Today my sample one here, I did kind of a baking, a tradition with my kids, making gingerbread houses. It's not especially baking because we don't actually make the gingerbread from scratch, we just buy a kit, but it still works for the idea. But you could do it as a recipe book, so you could put all your recipes in here, the little pullouts, you could have additional recipes, you could have photos. It's great to keep for yourself, it's great to give. So hopefully as we're doing this today, you guys will think of some ideas that you can do for it. So let's go ahead and we're going to start with the box portion. So before we do that though, I just wanted to talk about, so we do have in the kit, you have the dots that coordinate with this kit, the freshly baked. You have the Picture My Life cards, which we're going to use to decorate it some more. And you have all the pre-cut papers, the cardstocks that are in the coordinated colors, and then the patterns. So you have all the patterns that come in that kit. So you really get to see this in its full glory. So I'm just going to try and make space here so you guys can see everything. We're going to start with a box just so that we can kind of get that out of the way. And it's kind of the shell of everything. So you have in your kit, you have two pieces here. They are the exact same size. They're the exact same score lines and everything on there, the tabs. What we're going to do is we are going to glue them together to create one long strip. So you've got this first smaller tab. I've kind of tried to do some of the prep work ahead. Also, so it helps show you guys, this is where you're going to put your adhesive here on the thinner tab. We're going to go ahead and remove that first one so that we can go ahead and you're going to glue it flush to this other tab, the bigger tab. So it's going to go right up to that score line. Like I said, we want to just make one big piece here. So now it's all connected, so you can see. So now, again, I have another piece of adhesive here. And you want something really strong because, like I said, this is kind of the shell. It's kind of hold it all together. You don't want it to come undone. So you don't want to use like repositionable adhesive. You want something strong and sturdy. So I'm using score tape. You could use our red adhesive tape. That would also be great because it's nice and strong as well. And then you're going to go ahead and bring this up to that score line. I'm just going to fold that down so you can see that better. And it's going to go right up flush to that. And then you can see the box taking shape here. And I just realized as I did this that I should have done a step with you guys first, but it's still going to be okay. We didn't put our pattern paper on. I always like to put my pattern paper on first before I start making anything kind of 3D. So we're just going to go ahead and do that now. It's okay because it's not completely 3D. We haven't done the base. So I used the pattern that has the recipe on there. You could do the polka dots if you wanted to. So the two big portions, which are going to be the front and back of the box, I'm going to do this the same way. You could switch it up if you want. It's completely up to you. Let me get my adhesive here. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere this right to the center of that big rectangle there. So you have a nice little bit of white border going around. It's very subtle. I'll flip this over and do the same thing. You could even, if you wanted to mix and match and you wanted to have one side have the polka dots and one side have the recipe, you could do that. That would be fun as well. Okay, so then you also have in there, you have 5 strips of the same pattern paper, and so 2 of them are larger than the other. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. So there's 3 that are the exact same size, so I would kind of put them against each other just to make sure you have the right ones. And then 2 are larger. These larger ones are going to go on the side here of the box, whereas these 3 smaller ones are going to go for the lid. So in my sample here, then I switched it up and I put my polka dots on the side. So I'm going to do the same thing. Just put adhesive on this back here. I like these polka dots because it just makes it more whimsical kind of feeling. Just gives that cheerful, fun effect. Okay. Move this up here so it's not pattern on pattern, so you can see it a little bit better. And center that again on that spine. Okay, so now we've got all our pattern papers on there, and I'm just going to kind of crease it, kind of go side to side just so I've got good creases. Then I like to take I'm going to fold back these big ones. I like to take my smaller tabs in first, and then I'll have these two outer ones like that. It really doesn't matter if you prefer to have the two big tabs and the little ones. I just think it looks cleaner, it looks nicer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some score tape on the two small tabs first. Find the end here. Okay. Haven't really checked. Hopefully you guys aren't having any questions. Sorry. I'm just like trying to get right in since there's so many steps to this. I want to make sure that we get through it. I mean, it's a lot of repetitive steps, so it's not hard or anything like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm using my piercing tool to remove the backing on my adhesive because I don't have long nails. So, all right. So now I'm going to go ahead and pop these forward, and I'm going to have one of these come down, kind of centering and just kind of make sure that it hits that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put adhesive on the inside of the second flap, so that way I can go ahead and glue it down to that other one. So, oops. I'll do a double strip here just to make sure I've got good. I'm trying to look at the comments while I'm doing this as well. Sorry. Thanks, Liz. I'm glad that you like this in terms of using it for recipes. I think there are just, I love this idea, this concept, and I think the more you think about it, like you could do it if you know somebody who's getting ready to get married. You could do it as a recipe, a gift, you know, a bunch of recipes in it for them. It would be very special, very personal. You could do like family tradition recipes. That would make an awesome gift for somebody. It would be an awesome gift just for yourself. So if you have a bone folder, I like to go ahead and if you take the base of your bone folder, you can kind of rub the bottom of your box just to make sure you get good contact on those tabs. And so now that's nice and firm. And we have that done. So then we're going to go ahead and go to our lid, which I put the adhesive already on it. You're going to have on the outer tabs there. And I will say I did check right before I went on, and the last kit that I had, the last pre-cut kit, sold this morning. So I'm sorry I don't have any more pre-cut kits, but I did add the option of getting the project tutorial, which has photos, it has the measurements, where you score, and photos, and step-by-step instructions, all that you need to go ahead and create this with your own supplies. So if you missed out on getting the kit and you love this idea and feel inspired, you can certainly go on to my site and get it. And I can later go, after I'm done here, and in the comments I'll put the link to getting that if you want to get that. So I'm just going ahead and I'm moving these tabs on the inside here and making good contact. And again, I just realized I forgot my pattern paper. That's all right, we're gonna go ahead and add it. See, when you go and do this live, you get to see all the human errors real time. Okay, so for the pattern that has the recipe, let me see, where did I put my box lid? I put that on the top portion here, just because the text was going the correct direction. And that's kind of important if you've got directional pattern paper, to kind of keep that in mind as you are creating. I mean, the pattern here, like I see, I could still have it go on the side and have that be on the outside, but I kind of just like the polka dots because then it plays off nicely when you put that on with the box. Then you get both patterns side by side. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with how I did my sample and have my polka dots here. Again, leaving that white border. Okay, flip it over to the other long side. And then you'll also have two little ones, two little squares that you probably have guessed are going to go on the two little ends of the box. Again, I'm keeping that with the polka dots, but if you like the recipe and the direction is correct, you could go ahead and do that. It's completely up to you. That's the one thing about this little album thing. I think even if you have the same supplies, you got the pre-cut kit for me, everybody's is going to look totally different because there's so much personalization that can be done to this, which makes it so fun. So now we have the box done. The lid just goes on just like that. And you'll decorate the rest of that later. So I'm just gonna set that to the side. So now we have the box done. And make more room here. Okay, so then we have a bunch, like I said, a bunch of papers. So we're gonna go ahead and start here with this pink one. So this is our flamingo. It's all scored for you. So go ahead and if you have a bone folder, that will help make it crisper. Fold along those score lines. You're gonna have a total of 3 on each of these. These are the pockets that we're gonna be creating in here that's gonna hold a little card on there. So the one thing I do wanna note is our cardstock is 2-toned. So you have the true color, which is always the darker tone. And then on the other side is a lighter shade, which is nice when you're crafting with it because then you get twice the value with that. So as you can see here with this card that you've got the 2 different shades. So now is the time to kind of figure out, do you want to go with the true color? Do you want to do the light shade? Do you want to do a combination? Because that is how you're going to go ahead and glue them together. So I'm going to, for I think my original here, I'm trying to remember, I did the light shade. So I'm going to do the dark shade, the true color. I'll do the true color for this one here, just to mix it up. So what you're going to do is we're going to have this long tab. This is going to go inward. We're going to obviously bring this here to glue this down. And then we're going to glue this bottom one up on the outside. And that might seem kind of weird. I know generally when I am crafting, I like to hide all the mechanics. I don't like to have my flaps and such show. So that's like why I have like this one on the inside, because when I slide that in, it doesn't get impacted. But if you have this bottom one inside, it might, that extra bulk down there on the inside might cause it so that that card that you're inserting doesn't want to go all the way in smoothly. And we don't want to have either you or the recipient struggling to put that card back in when they're enjoying your album. So that's why we're going to put it on the outside. But you'll see that we won't be able to see that. So don't worry if you're like me and you don't like to have all the mechanics showing. It's going to be just fine. So you're just going to go ahead and put some strong adhesive there and then go ahead and bring them together so the edges are flush. Just like that. And then now we're going to go ahead and put adhesive on this bottom tab. And then move this. So we're going to do the same thing. You've got all 6 colors that coordinate here with this kit. So this is our flamingo, and then you have the insert card, and then we've got our toffee. So I'm just going to keep doing this. And as we're doing this, I'd love to hear, like, I'm wondering if you guys have some new ideas on how you could use this little mini album, other than the few that I've like tossed out. Maybe you're inspired with a new idea that could help somebody else. Let's see. Anyone got any ideas? Well, I'm just sitting here gluing. Hi, Tammy. Glad you could join us. Oh, that does remind me. I wanted to do a shout out to Sue. I don't know if she's watching right now or not. But many times, you know, like if you guys run into a problem and you can't figure out what's going on, reach out to me and let me know. Like, she was having an issue on my website being able to get kits. And if you guys don't tell me, I don't know. And so I was so appreciative that she reached out to me this morning telling me that she had an issue. So if you're ever running into that same thing, rather than getting frustrated and, you know, just trying to deal with it, contact me. You know, you can private message me. You can email me. That's what I'm here for. So I did just want to let her know how appreciative I was of that, because now I can try to fix the problem. Okay, so now I've got my toffee one and I've got my toffee card. Oh, Sue's here. Awesome. Okay. Trying to see. Keep going. So this is our new honey butter, and it's a very pretty color. Another idea that I just thought of as I was doing this, and I thought of it earlier, but I don't think I said it, was I used to, I haven't done it in a while, probably because of COVID, but do cookie swaps at Christmas, and ladies would bring, we'd all bring different cookies, and then we'd share the recipes. This album would be so fun to put photos of those cookies, of you getting together with your friends, and then also include those recipes that you swapped in it. It'd even be fun, I mean, it'd be a lot of work, but to make each of the ladies one of these, and then that way it's like their little take-home gift, right? Their little party gift, party favor. So there are many ideas. I'm sure you guys are putting more on here. I'm trying to work and read, but I can't do it very, very well. Okay, So now, again, I'm just creating that pocket. I'm gonna do the bottom fold here. And so if you are watching along here and doing it with me at the same time, hopefully, because I decided to just go ahead and do all of these at the same time to give you guys time to work, hopefully you are able to keep up with me and I'm not going too fast. But if you did some steps ahead because you had the instructions, the next thing would be to take your pattern paper that coordinates and start gluing that on. If you're just kind of waiting. Okay, so then there's that. So then we have our new, this is our Seabrook color. It's very pretty. Oh, gotta make sure I'm staying here with all my true colors, true shades. Although it doesn't matter if you mix and match, have some be the true and some be the light shade. Okay. Getting good folds on here is a good thing. So make sure you're creasing really well. That'll help as you're putting the album together and you're flipping through it. It'll just flip easier. Okay. Seams. Okay, just a couple more colors. And we're almost there. Let me see if I can see. Okay, so got that one done. Oops. Got my card for my next one. This is our Scarlet, which is a very pretty intense red color. Perfect for the holidays. I also like the light shade of it too. Some of the, I've noticed the light shades they're very subtle, but this one's a pretty good distinction between the two shades. So it's kind of nice. You can really see it pop, the difference. Okay. Take that backing off. Oops. All right, and then bring our last tab up. And hopefully if you have been doing this like this and you insert one of your cards, you kind of understand what I was talking about in terms of bringing or having this on the outside, so that way you can go ahead and easily, let me just take one and show you. So when you put this in here, it doesn't get stuck at the base because of this, because otherwise it might bump up against that if that's on the inside. Okay, our final one. So this is our Glacier, another pretty blue color. Go ahead and add this. Okay, whoops. All right, let me see if I can see some comments while I'm trying to do this. Got lots of people joining us, that's awesome. Have people started doing their holiday gifts yet? And that's probably hard to think about that, like with Halloween on Monday. But I personally like to start doing my stuff early because then you can enjoy more of the holiday season and not feel stressed and pressured. That's why I think this album is so cute, so perfect, because it's a great way to give and give a part of yourself. Okay, so now we have all those. So now, like I was saying, the next step is to go ahead and add your pattern papers. So you do have all the patterns. I will note that because the way our things are, see that they're back, because double-sided, so one side has, you know, a different one. So like I was talking about direction, you might need to figure out like which direction, like these, how the two stripes, do you want the stripes going horizontal, or horizontal rather, or do you want them to go vertical because they'll be going like this. So just kind of play around, look at the patterns and decide how you want them to be. On my sample here, let me just bring it back in. I put all of them all on the front. So when I'm talking about the front, I'm talking about the part that doesn't have this tab. So this is like my front. So this is my front, and then it goes ahead and glues on there just like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly do a couple of them just so that we can move on to the next step so that you're not having to watch me glue a whole bunch again. But so let's see. I will do this one here. This, and you'll have a slight border going around that, and then we will do, let's see, do this one, this one. Okay, so I'll get, so there's 6 of them, so I will do 3 so that we've got half of them, so you can kind of get a sense once I start doing this what we're doing. Okay, and then I will go ahead and do my cookies on, let's see, do I want the darker one? Maybe the darker one for it to pop a little bit more. Yeah. So just kind of play around with the colors and see what you like. And you know, you can use all of the patterns, or if you like if you really like this one here with all of the different baking things, you could use both of those and not use the side with the cookies. And actually, now that I say that, I think I might do that. So yeah. All right. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to glue this on here. Again, slight border. Okay. So put all these other ones to the side. Okay. So next what you have is you have a piece like this. Yours doesn't have the tape on it, but I wanted to kind of show you how this is going to work so it's a little more clear. So it's all scored for you. This is what's going to create our waterfall effect. You are going to put strong adhesive on every other of that section, every other panel. And so starting from your right hand side, you're going to go ahead and have it on that first one, skip one, have one, skip one, have one, skip one. And so normally I know you like read left to right, but we're going to start right to left. So hopefully that doesn't like mess you guys up or make you feel all weird about it, but that's how we're going to do this. So to kind of show you before we tape it or glue it down, I want you to kind of understand what we're doing. So we are going to be gluing this back portion, which is why I said it doesn't matter that that tab is on, that's showing it's on the outside. We're going to be gluing that to that tab. So we're going to have one that's glued here, and then that section's going to go next. Then we're going to have another one that's going to be glued to that, and then we're going to have that empty one. Then we're going to have this next one. So you can kind of see it's like glue, skip, glue. And so you get all the way to the end and then you have this extra tab. And that's kind of just like a creative design here to have something to pull on. So you have one on each end here. We're going to add the one on the right. Don't worry that you don't have one on the right yet. So you'll just have this one on the left. That's why we have nothing glued to that last panel. So let's go ahead and I'll glue down a couple here so you can see. So we will start with this blue one here. So a tip that I'm going to give you here that I find helpful, let me remove this, is this white piece is a little bit slimmer. If I put this next to it, you can see it's not as thick as the card itself, the pocket. So what actually helps is it's pretty much the same size as the pattern paper. So if you put the pattern paper on the front, you can use that as a way to line it up to center it nicely. And so you want this edge of this to go flush up to here as far as it can, up to that crease. And so I'm going to kind of go like this, and if I kind of bring this back and use this as a guide, see I can kind of center that on there, and then I'm just going to go ahead and press down like that. So now this is attached to the end of this. What strong adhesive do I recommend? Well, I'm using score tape right now. When I did my first one, I used our adhesive tape, this red stuff, but it's so staticky that since I knew I had to move quickly, that's why I'm using score tape. So I would recommend either of those. You want something that's just really strong and that's going to be able to handle the tension and the motion and the movement that we're going to be doing over and over with this album. So that's a great question. And I will note, I am not seeing all the questions, obviously, but I always go back and I read all of them and answer them. So if you have a question that I have not answered, please go ahead and leave it. I will get back to you. So then, like I said, you're going to skip a panel. You're going to go ahead and set that down. Again, you're going to want it to go all the way up to the edge of that, and you're going to want to center. But now the nice thing is you have this first one down, so you could use this second one as your guide, if that makes sense. You can kind of line that up over top that first one so that you know that it's nice and centered. Press down, and now you have two. And so like when you pull this bottom one, that kind of starts getting that waterfall effect because then it starts to slide to the side. So we're going to do one more since I have 3 of them prepared. And this is why you did the pattern paper on here first, just so that way the pattern is adhered. You could obviously do it after. You would just have a smaller pattern paper because you wouldn't have as much showing because of this section that's glued to the little spine here that we're creating. Okay, so you're going to go all the way in like that and kind of use that's a guide. Okay, so now I've got 3 of them on here. See, and when I pull, I get that motion going. So if I had all 6, you'd get more motion, just like my sample. So I'm going to leave it there so that way we can continue on so I don't miss anything for you guys. Okay, so like I was saying, you'll have this tab here on the left, but you want a tab on the right. So what we're doing is you have an additional piece here of white cardstock. It has a tab on here that's already scored. So I'm going to turn this like here so you can see. So all I'm doing is I am gluing this on here. The tab is going to be to the left with your glued tab here on the right. So this is just a continuation that you're creating where this extra tab that's on here that's scored is going to be that thing that's going to fold over. But I want to note that you'll notice I do not have this glued on all the way. If you have it glued all the way on there, then it's hard for you to pull out anything from this last pocket. So you just want to put adhesive like on the maybe half of that card so that it leaves this front portion open. So here's what I'm going to do so you can see. So I'm going to use my score tape here, and I'm just going to create a box, square of adhesive, and that way I won't be going near the front, and that way it'll still give you a little bit of a gap to be able to pull out from this last tab, this last pocket, because that would be a shame to struggle to see whatever you have in that last pocket, right? You want to be able to enjoy every little bit of this album. So, oops. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Okay. So then we're going to have this, like I said, it's just a continuation. So you're going to line that up like so. I got mine a little off center there, but that's okay. So now you'll see you've got two tabs so that it's easier to pull and get that waterfall effect. So now I just want to talk to you about some extra additional things here so that way it can help you when you are decorating yours. So you'll notice here, because I was trying to show you how it has that waterfall effect again. So fun. I love it. But like I said in the beginning, you can still flip through it just like you would a normal album. So fun. I love that you have the option with that. So what I did is I think a really great addition to this album is it's called the Freshly Baked Card Making Set. It has the stamp set and these two blue pieces here that are colored in blue. These are dies. So I'll show you here. All of our dies come on magnetic sheets like this. So you get this nice little tab and this nice recipe card. And that's what they're intended for, but you do not have to use them like that. That's exactly what I did for these is I die cut those two pieces. I used the cute little hearts here on the stamp set so that I could create obvious tabs for the recipient to know to go ahead and pull, you know, and get that effect. Or they could just go ahead and, you know, if they don't see that that's what that is, they can still just flip through it and it's no big deal. So additionally, though, I used it as a way to journal. So I cut it down so it wasn't as big. I used the stamp that comes with it to do my lines, so that way I could go ahead and have straight lines, because I don't know if you're like me, but I can't write straight. So then I was able to use it as a journaling thing. I have also added it here behind my photo. So again, trimmed it down a little bit, but it just adds a nice little touch because it has that the little cuts in there at the base to create a nice strip there. So that's kind of fun. Let's see. I wanted to point out, let's see. Oh yeah. I also, this is why, I mean, there's a couple reasons I really love these insert cards, because if you have photos that are obviously not horizontal, you can put those photos still in the album. You don't have to worry about them not being the right direction. But then if you're going to have your photos be portrait, then you might want your journaling to be portrait. So I wanted to show you, I still did that. You can see here's the cut here with a little stitching border. And then I stamped. But what I did is I took some of our tape here, our masking tape thing, and I put it along the edge so that I could leave a border so I knew I wasn't going to stamp all the way to the edge and it would cut off and it would be straight. And so then I could have it going horizontal in a more vertical landscape here. So that, hopefully that makes sense. That's another way that you could use that set. Okay, so I think that's it with those cards. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything because I want to make sure you guys get all the handy tips and stuff that I can give you when you're decorating yours, because I think this is so fun. Okay, so the cards. So these cards that I gave you, obviously they are going to coordinate with this collection because they're from the same collection, the Freshly Baked. So we always have these Picture My Life cards with our paper collections, and they're so nice. I love, if you've followed me in my kits for all these years that we've been doing this, I've made cards out of them. I love doing that, but these are great for adding additional things. Like you can see here, I just took a die of a tag so that I could do the cover here of, so it had like kind of a title. So you can do that, but the idea is that you get several, these are 3x4 and then 4x6. So basically they are half the size. So you could get like 2 of these for each of those cards. So The other nice thing, in addition to having 2 sizes to work with, is you get 2 different themes. So usually they are like the same sentiment, same image, but they're just different. Instead of being horizontal, they're going to be portrait, or vertical rather, and they're going to have different coloring, which is kind of nice. So then, you know, depending on what you're working with, maybe the color is important to you, maybe the direction is important to you. So you can, you know, work with that. The other thing that I want to point out, and I do a lot of, is while some of this might seem like you don't need to use it, like you're like, how would I use that in my album? Think about it beyond what you're just seeing. Like for me, I'm like, okay, I'm probably not going to use that. So I'd probably cut off this top portion, and I would use all this nice stuff here to be like a little journaling thing in here where I could write some stuff. You could cut off this top part, this bottom part, and use it as the top of your theme, which is kind of what I did. Let's see, where did I do that? Here. So I cut off the top of one of the cards, and it said today's adventure, and I had a whole bunch of checklist thing, and I was like, I don't want that checklist. I just kind of want this as kind of my prompt for my picture here and like what I'm going to be doing. And so you can cut away and do different things with the cards, which is kind of nice as well. The other thing, what are some other ideas I can give you? So this looks like I'm using a whole card here behind my daughter, but what I actually did, because I like to preserve as much as I can, I just cut, you can see it continues. I just cut, I think they're 1/2-inch strips, a 1/2-inch strip here and a 1/2-inch strip here, and just kind of glued them to the back of the photo and then put them down. So now I still have a nice chunk of this pattern that I can use in my album. So hopefully that is a good idea for you guys as well. I did something similar here to 2 little squares here behind. I took one of the 3x4 squares, cut it in half so that it was a 3x2, so the 2-inch section, so that I get just a little bit of pattern behind it, so it's kind of framing it. What else? You can layer the cards because, like I said, you could take this one here and you could layer it on here. You could trim it down if you want like a more equal border, like trim off and trim off. So there's lots of different ways that you can play around with the cards. Making sure I'm not missing anything else. I think those are just photos. Oh, the other nice thing is you could, because I haven't finished putting all my photos in here, you could just stick extra photos in here. So if you are giving this as a gift, you could, have your little card in here for them to put their photo, but you could just keep and put some extra photos in here for them. So that's kind of the nice thing about this album, is that you can really get a lot of photos, a lot of recipes in here. And the nice thing is that where did I put my box? It still fits in the box because we made it nice and big. Oops. So I still have, it's getting full, but I still have room to add those photos in there. So you don't have to worry about it becoming too bulky that you can't work with it. Okay, I feel like, hopefully I've touched on everything. Oh, the gems, I did not talk about these. So you also have a package of the dots, the freshly baked dots, to add to your album. And I also, on the front cover of my box, I guess I didn't point out that that's what I did here, is I used a 4x6 card and then a 3x4, and I just layered them. So it looks really nice and finished. Like I could have stamped that, but I didn't. I just glued them together. And then I've added some of these dots. These dots are so nice and thin. They do not add a lot of bulk. I don't know if you can really appreciate it until you get some of them. But as crafters, like if you're giving a gift or you're mailing a card, you don't want it to get too bulky. And these ones are really thin. And I love that there's some glittery ones in here and that there's the variety of colors, variety of shapes. So the idea is that you can just go in and add them. Like I just kind of, to focus on love here, I put 2 hearts. And then where else? I added some star ones here because I had stars on my recipe card here. So I wanted to kind of tie that same look in. So you can use those as you want. Super fun. You could even add them to little tabs here for your pull tabs. So that just gives it a little bit more heft for somebody to hold on to, for them to, go ahead and open up the album. Okay. I think that's it. Oh, I'm so glad that you guys are loving this album. Yeah, okay. Oh, for a baby album, that is so true, Tammy. I love that idea. This would be super cute for that. Truly, this is just, I love this. This is just, there's so many ways you could do this. So anyway, I hope you love it too. And like I said, I'm sorry, I am sold out of the pre-cut kits, but you can absolutely get the project tutorial. And I will put that in my, in the comments, the link, so that you can go ahead and purchase that tutorial so you can make it on your own. While we still have some minutes left, I did want to show you, I love this group because I love how sharing and how warm, and everyone's just so helpful on this group. So I put out to you guys what you guys wanted to do next month for November. And, you know, with the holidays coming up, I thought, well, maybe you guys want to do holiday tags. Maybe you wanted to do some holiday gift, little treat things, or maybe you want to do interactive tags. And you guys spoke, you guys voted. I loved you responded to my poll, and you said that you wanted to do some interactive cards. So I was kind of worried it might be too close to like Christmas to do Christmas ones. So I did some wintry ones, which could absolutely be, they could totally work for Christmas too if you wanted to use them for Christmas, but they would work into January and February. So we have this cute little penguin one, and so the little dot here, when you pull up, then becomes a new sentiment, hugs here. So you get like double the real estate without a lot of effort. And this is with one of our new dies. It's just like a regular card then when you open it. And then the second one has got this cute little reindeer, and then it says, if snowflakes were kisses, I would send you a blizzard. Super adorable. So I will note that because of how this technique works, with the mechanics of it, you do have to stamp afterwards. I know that I always provide you guys with pre-stamped kits, but I'm not able to do that this time because of that. So you can get the basic kit, use your own stamps, or you can get the kit and then add the stamp set if you want to have yours be exactly like the sample. I will tell you that this adorable hugs, I will be including that in the kit. This is an exclusive one that you can't purchase. So this one will come. So if you're using your own stamps and you want to have something that would work with the hugs, just to kind of prepare, just keep that in mind. You can also do the kit with the die. Like if you want to get this die, which it's just so addicting to be able to create these cards, you can add the die on so that way you can create more cards afterwards. And that's kind of why I want to do it in the two different, the portrait and the landscape here, so you can see that you can do it both ways. It's not just one way or the other. You could even have it be so that the pull down comes from the bottom. I mean, I know that this one doesn't, but it could. So I will have samples to show you that as well. All right, so that is next month's kit for November. And so I hope you'll join me for that. Final note is if you want to connect with me anymore, be more inspired, you can join me on my private Facebook group, my Sunny Day Memories Crafty Friends. I post stuff on there, and so would love to have you join me. Otherwise, if you have any questions, whether it's about next month's kit or this one we've just done, leave it in the comments and I will absolutely respond. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've enjoyed sharing this with you. I'll see you next time.